morning, about to head out of Wrightwood. Had a great 0 day here, chance to rest up and get something to eat, do my laundry, do all the chores, get all that stuff taken care of. So I thought I would real quick go over kind of how I plan out the days to make sure that I stay on track with everything. So I have a very loose 5 to 7 day plan. I just like to have a good idea of, okay, over the next 5 to 7 days, where is my next resupply town? So in this instance, it's a town called Acton. That's where I've got to get to. So I like to know about how long it's going to take me to get there. And then based on that, I keep kind of a 2 to 3 day fairly detailed plan. And in that fairly detailed plan, it'll list out, okay, exactly how many miles am I going today based on the campsites that I have coming up, and also based on how many miles I have to do each day to reach that next destination. So in that 2 to 3 day detailed plan, I'll look at gut hook, I'll look at water sources, campsites, and then I will jot it all down here in kind of a little notebook that shows me I'm starting out at, say for instance on Monday, I'll be starting out at mile 411.7 on Monday. My goal is to get to mile 429.3. Now that goal of 429.3 is 17.6 miles, but that's based on the fact that I want to do 15 plus miles, and that also has to do with the fact that there's a campsite there. So I can't just get up in the morning and say I'm going to do 17 miles. I can say I want to do somewhere around 17 miles, but I've got to know that there's a campsite, and I also need to know what is the water situation during that travel period. So I've got a note in there that there's water at mile 418.6 at a place called Mill Creek Fire Station. And I also like to know, okay, how many miles do I have to go during that stretch with no water sources? So if I'm starting out at mile 411.7, and those are a lot of numbers, and I see water at 418.6, and I've got to get to 429.3, there will be a stretch of about 11 miles where there is no water. So that helps me know that, okay, if I've got to go 11 miles with no water source, do I need to walk out of that water source with 2 liters, 3 liters, 4 liters? Because there's no sense in walking out of a water source with 4 liters if there's another water source in 8 miles. That's just carrying too much water and too much weight. So I do try to plan out a pretty detailed plan of at least 2 days, and then when I get to camp that night, one of those days will be gone, so I'll add another day. So there's always kind of a 48-hour plan in place, and you got to be willing to adjust it, because sometimes you plan on doing a 17.6 mile day to get to a camp, and either the terrain is like super easy and you can go further if you want and you feel great, so you have to adjust your plan a little bit, or the terrain is really hard and you know that you're not going to make that 17.8. Maybe it's a struggle just to get 14, so then you have to kind of readjust. But anyway, that's how I do it. I keep this little notebook with me all the time and jot down little notes, and use the Gut Hook app, and that pretty much keeps me on track. All right, talk to you later. Reminds me a little bit of the hiking in Utah. Not quite as pretty as Moab, but really like these hikes like this. Hey there. So I headed out from Agua Dulce this morning, which was mile 554, and kind of have a 24-mile hike or section with no water. There is supposedly a little trickling stream 8 miles ahead, but I don't know how good it is, and the comments on Gut Hook didn't make it sound too great. So I don't feel like I can put a whole lot of trust in that, because this is a really, really hot, dry section, and I know I'm going to go through a lot of water. on this section, so I don't want to put a ton of faith in that one. So I left out of Agua Dulce with 5 liters of water and a big bottle of Gatorade. Need those electrolytes. Keep me from getting too dehydrated, cramping up. So it's gonna be a long stretch with no water source most likely. Now there are the chances of, I'm out of breath. There's the chance that some trail angels could put some water along the way. But again, I just have to look at that as, if it's there, great, but I just really can't count on it. The next big stop where I can get a hotel is in Tahachapi, which I think is 108 miles away at the mile marker 566, I believe. So that'll be the next hotel where I can clean up, which I'm planning on getting there in 5 or 6 days. Definitely gonna have to do some very early morning night hikes to avoid this heat, because it's only like 9 o'clock right now and it's really hot. I thought about leaving out of Agua Dulce this morning at like 4 a.m. Probably should have, but there was a little breakfast place in town that opened up at 7. So I decided to hang around there and have a big breakfast. And pancakes and eggs and bacon, some real coffee. I think it was worth it. We'll see when it gets to be about 1 o'clock if I'm still thinking that. I found a tiny bit of shade here. The shade is really rare today. And I really don't like to play around with, heat-related illnesses, heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So, man, as soon as I see some signs of like nausea, lightheaded, dizzy, blurred vision, super bad headache, throwing up, as soon as I see those signs, and I try to find some shade quickly. Just kidding. You're probably thinking, what a moron. Those are the signs of heat stroke, idiot. So, anyway, that's my sense of humor out here. But for real though, so my rule is, when it's this bad, this much climbing, this much heat, when shade is this rare, it doesn't matter if I feel like I need a break or not. If I come up on some shade like this, which is not much, it's just a little rock, and not something I can really kick my shoes off, but I can rest my backpack against this rock and take a little break and rehydrate, cool off, and get some shade before I move on. And I will take as many breaks as I feel like I need. I don't like to play around with that heat exhaustion stuff. And I don't know if it's a rumor or not. There are a lot of fear-mongering rumors that happen out here, but I was told by a few people a couple of days ago that some guy that was about 35 to 40 years old passed away from heat stroke a couple hundred miles back. So, but regardless of whether that happened or not, which I pray that it did not happen, I still feel like I have to be extra cautious. And of all the things that people worry about that are maybe dangerous out here, mountain lions or rattlesnakes or whatever, which I haven't seen either one of those, to me, by far the most dangerous thing that I feel like we have encountered is the heat and lack of water, and combined with some of these climbs. And so anyway, as soon as I see shade, regardless of whether I feel like I need a break or not, I stop and take a little break. And might only be a 10-minute break. And if I see a good spot, like where I can actually get comfortable and take my shoes off, if I see a spot like that, even in like the next 20 minutes or so, I guarantee I'll be stopping and taking that, because I may hit a stretch of 2 or 3 hours with no shade. So anyway, talk to you later. And I ain't cut out to be no Jesse James, and you don't go riding hot chicks down in Mississippi, and there ain't no good chain gang. Oh, look at this crappy water source. A tiny little puddle surrounded by a crap load of bees. See those bees? I'm glad I wasn't really counting on this as a great water source, but I'm gonna take what I can get. Try not to get stung by these murder hornets. Good morning. So I'm gonna quickly go through a little rant this morning, and it's not meant out of anger. I'm not frustrated at anybody or anything, but I just wanna talk about two things. One is kind of a cliche that gets used a lot out here, which is hike your own hike. And another is what's called a tramley. It's kind of like your trail family, so it's called a tramley. And those things do tend to kind of develop over time. Some people are really looking to get to be part of some tramley, and some people, kind of like me, I prefer to be alone most of the time. I like to meet up with people, you know, during the process of getting into town, or maybe at a camp, or just along the trail taking a break. But I'm not really looking to develop any kind of like family where I have to kind of be with them at all times right now. Kind of one of the things about hike your own hike is, so for instance with me, I like to get up early, and I like to head out, you know, at 4:30, maybe earlier. That's what I like to do. And if I'm with a group and someone makes a comment like, man, you're so loud in the morning, or what's the use in starting so early? You know, we're just getting to this point. Why do you need to start so early? Those kind of comments, that's what tells me I don't need to be a part of that group. Because, for instance, when I get up in the morning and I pack up, I'm really seriously trying to be quiet. So much so that I'm kind of tense, and I'm trying to do everything really, you know, putting a lot of thought into how I bundle stuff up. But you can only be so quiet. Your tent, your sleeping bag, all of these canvas bags that all your gear is in, it all rattles, and it's all kind of loud, and it's so quiet out here that any little sound, you know, is super loud. So if I develop, you know, if I end up, you know, within the next 5 months coming across some people that our styles are very similar, and they're very accepting of whether I get up early or whatever, you know, I'll stick with some people. But, you know, to be honest with you, today I am up early and I'm moving fast, and I'm trying to stretch some distance from the people that I've been with the last couple of days, because they've made a couple of those comments about, hey, you're kind of loud in the morning, or why do you go so early? It doesn't make any sense. Well, maybe not to y'all, but it does to me. That's what I like to do. So that's my hike. That's me hiking my hike. You can hike your own hike, and no offense to those people. Great people. I've loved the conversations I've had with them, and you know, I love bouncing ideas off people. But, you know, for instance, just a little fun fact here: when I'm on a really tough stretch, like say I'm going up a really steep, long hill, or I'm almost to camp and I'm really tired and I'm really struggling, and I know that I'm like half a mile from camp or like half a mile from getting up this hill, I give myself a piece of candy, and I've got butter rum lifesavers, because I know that by the time I finish one of these, on average it takes me 0.3 miles before this thing disappears, unless I crunch it up. But 0.3 miles. So I take this now. By the time I'm finished with it, I should be right at the top of this hill. So anyway, just a little fun motivational fact. Stay golden, pony boy. Hey, little squirrel. You're not very big, are you? You must be a baby squirrel. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Open all the time. I keep the ends up for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line. With the hippies and the cowboys, they don't care about no trends. They don't care about songs that sell. All right, here it is, my first rattlesnake sighting. Luckily he's got his mouth full, so I don't have to worry about him.
That is so cool.
Some guy just pulled over and gave me an ice cold Gatorade. Man, that's a huge morale boost today. So this is Hiker Town. It's like a little, like a little hostel type camping area right off the trail before we hit that aqueduct tomorrow. So you can, these little rooms over here. Some hikers over there hanging out. Got a shuttle here that brings people in occasionally that don't want to walk the whole way. Some people up here just hanging out, eating and resting. What's up, radio?
Hey, I just trail ran the last 5 miles to make the bus. No, but I can miss them.
All right, actually walking on top of the Los Angeles aqueduct here. Kind of cool. Hey, so I told you this morning I was shooting for 25 today, 25 miles, and it's 1:30 p.m. now, and I'm at 15 miles to go. And all right, just an update for you. So remember, I'm shooting for 50 miles in 37.5 hours to make it to be able to see Landon's graduation through FaceTime. So right now, at 15 hours and 34 minutes, and I am 26 miles in. I've got 2 more miles to get to camp, which is gonna put me at like a I think it turns out to be like a 27.5 mile day, which is by far the longest day I've done. So I get to camp probably about, what time is it? Probably about 8. Set up, sleep for about 4 hours, and get up. All right, hoping you can see how kind of sketchy this is. That's all like super loose sand. And as you can see, it is a straight slide down. And I'm already kind of sliding. Best thing to do, I guess, is just go fast. Good morning, headed out at 2 a.m. And we've got to meet my goal of being there by being to the hotel within 37.5 hours to catch my son's graduation. I have got 16 hours left and 21 miles to go, and I feel good about that. I did more than that yesterday, and trying to find the trail here. So sometimes you got to go through a lot of stuff like this. Hopefully I can get this. This thing's just popping you in the face, the arms, legs. Hey, so I'm gonna do a quick update on that whole that recent hike going through that LA aqueduct. I think I mentioned yesterday morning about that. There was like 50 miles of dry desert along the Los Angeles aqueduct, and so I thought I'd update you while it's fresh in my head. So it was not as bad as I expected. I mean, it was definitely hot, long, and boring, and really hot. But all of the water sources were reliable, so I was able to have plenty of water. I was able to find shade when I felt like I was overheating, so that was a big plus. There was a slight breeze blowing yesterday, which kept it, at least kept us from getting too hot, so that was great. And it turned out that the whole aqueduct section, it's not 50 miles through the dry, hot, boring desert. I mean, it was about 20 miles really of kind of that long, flat, dirt road aqueduct section. It's about 20 miles through that, and then you got back into just kind of normal trail hiking, which still yesterday, even that was pretty exposed with very little shade, but kind of back to what it had been, we've done several times. So I've still got 14 miles to go, you know, to get to Tahachapi and beat my goal of 50 miles in 38 hours. So I've still got a ways to go, but I've got plenty of water. Big thank you to any of the PCT volunteers who are keeping those water caches stocked up, because all of the ones that were mentioned on Gut Hook were actually stocked pretty well, so that was great. And one of the water caches actually had some snacks, some apples, oranges, bananas, cookies, crackers, cereal bars. That was huge. I love when I can find fruit out here. So I snagged a couple apples at that one. But this rest of this 14 miles, I've got plenty of water, I've got food. Most of the terrain is more of a downhill hike getting into Tahachapi. And so I really feel like, even though 14 miles left, I feel like I've really made it past the hard stuff. Message for my son, Landon. I'm definitely going to make it to the hotel to be able to watch your graduation through FaceTime. 50 miles, and it looks like it's going to end up being about 33, 34 hours. And you are definitely worth it. It wasn't easy, but you're definitely worth it. And I'm so proud of you and very excited for you to start. You've already got a great job lined up, you got a great life, and pretty soon you'll have a little boy or a little girl that Papa David can take hiking someday. So I'm very proud of you, I love you, and I'll be watching you through FaceTime this evening, and I hope this is a great special day for you. And if I haven't said it already, I'm very proud of you. Love you, son. Bye. Yay, got a package from my kids today. It looks like they shipped me a new pair of hiking shoes, which I desperately needed. I definitely had worn out these other ones. Thank you so much, Maddie and Landon. I love you. Thank you.